Hi, everybody. Who's on? Who is here this morning? Elvish Panther, how are you doing? Good to see you on here. Hi, Graham, how you doing? Just tidying up round here. Oh, right. Coffee before I can think. So, right, a little bit of an agenda for today. We are working on a track. That's what I was meant to be doing a few days ago, but then I got chatting. Not that it matters. Hi, Mick, how you doing? How's music going? So there was an interesting question in Discord I'd like to talk about, which covers a few different things that I think a lot of people experience, and certainly it was ringing a lot of, took me back to the days before I was getting coached, doing good. Okay, so I think there's a lot of value in there, that question for everybody, and I can give you sort of the insights that I've had and what I've seen, experienced when I've been coaching other people on this very thing. So that's like one thing. So there's a bit of a coaching bit to this. And then the other bit is we've got a track which actually may have similar problems to the thing that I'm discussing. So we can have a look at that as well, potentially. And that's it. And like everything's very, very busy. So trying to think what's been happening. What has been happening? Writing tons of music. My work guitar got destroyed yesterday. That was interesting. Basically, what had happened is I have this like it's decent quality like soft case for this guitar, and it's like I don't use like a massively expensive one. Anyway, it's gonna get the shop's replacing it, but so I bought the bag and the guitar at the same time, and basically I went to put the guitar on my shoulder with the strap, and at the bottom the strap just broke, and the guitar. No, it's not a Kiesel. Um, it's decent make though, but I'm not gonna. Uh, so anyway, the bottom of the strap which you put on broke, and just as I was putting the other arm in, that's when it broke, and it like fell. The guitar fell, and it bounced off a resin floor. Like the bottom of it, and I thought actually it did make a bit of a, it didn't make the usual bouncing drop guitar sound where they're all right. It just like it didn't seem to, Anyway, when I opened it, there was a great big massive crack up the front of it. So that's getting knackered. So that's getting replaced Saturday, I hope. But oh god, honestly. So I just took it to the shop and they're really, really nice. And I went, oh, we'll take photos, see what we can do. So I should get, I'm hoping, I get an exchange, which is what they were talking about, which was great. And it might even be a model that's better. You want to see it? It's just a crack, a smash, doosh, up the front of it. It's not a big deal, but a great guitar that, like, for a cheapy guitar, it's really good to practice on, do what I've got to do all day, because I can't have like a super massively expensive guitar, and I can't really have like a super really cheap one that's just gonna like break your fingers when you play it. So this is it's a good balance. It's very, very playable, which I like, and practical. till yesterday. But anyway, that was that. But actually, so I've been looking at a few different acoustic options as well, whilst I'm sort of on the go. Weird, those lava guitars I keep looking at those, and I couldn't imagine them. I don't know what they sound like. I would imagine they sound quite plasticky, as they're made out of plastic. You can get a wood one now. But like smart guitars, that's like another thing, isn't it? I don't know how I feel about that. I'd be interested to play one though, to see what it's like. Right, so I play on two Jacksons, an 8-string HB and an ESP limited. Wow, 4 axes. Yeah. Well, I've got 4 here. But yeah. What's the 8-string like? Do you play the 8-string much? Because I'd imagine that I played Thomas's and it was just super challenging. So yes, so there's been that. What else? Yes, it is my home studio. So this is where everything kind of happens in here. Just get all these the right size. Yeah, so the home studio, I mean, I suppose it looks like a studio, doesn't it? This is the look of a fully functioning studio. It's not exactly like a big SSL desk or anything like that, or tons of hardware. The thing is with my studio, right? What I soon realised is there's absolutely 0 point in having anything in here that I'm not using, because it just messes with your head. You think you should be using things when you don't really have to. So everything's in the box, and there's only the things that I need hanging outside of the computer. So it just keeps the decision making process a lot easier, and that then extends to the in the box world as well. So I have a template like enabled, and it's completely loaded up with all the things that I need, that I've worked out that I need to get 80% of a track done, really, in terms of writing it and mixing it. So the template building's always been something that was something that I loved doing and got really annoyed with, and I've talked about it quite extensively before, and I should do another live where I talk about templates. But template building's a thing, isn't it? Because you can build something and it works amazing and you feel inspired, but then it can become like really like difficult and hard to work in, and you feel like it's a bit of a creative straitjacket, and that's when it doesn't work. So there's a fine balancing act in having it so it serves what you want to do, but gives you the creative freedom, but gives you the depth of a sound palette that you need. So that's the trick there. Yeah, Thomas has got an 8-string. Don't need those SSL desks anymore. Well, some people will. I personally don't. I've got an SSL desk in my computer, which would be close enough. So that's amazing, isn't it? How technology has progressed to that. So yes, there's a question on. How many people are gone? Glenn Frick has got one of those Neve consoles. I kind of found it funny he pushed the low budget production, then gets a Neve. Yeah. Yeah, Neve's like expensive, isn't it? But funnily enough, like Neve stuff's quite grungy, isn't it? Like that's what I find. I mean, I have so there's like there's kind of stages of colouring with me, I suppose, the way that I think of it. So if you obviously want something dirty and crunchy, like that last song where I used like that reverb and distortion plugin by Safari on a tune to colour it and to create some space through that. There's that obviously kind of saturated distortion thing, and then there are different flavors of that. You've got, vinyl, tube, transistor, which all have different flavors. And when you get familiar with them, you can kind of vaguely guess which one you want. Then we have like different colorations of EQ. So, like if I'm wanting something that's very, very present and in your face, it's almost like a level of saturation. I find the Neve like very good. That's really good. I can't remember which model it is, but it's just the one that's in the Slate. So and usually it's like the high frequency and the lower highs as well that I'll use just to brighten things up, and that's almost like kind of if I'm wanting a dirty EQ, and then if I'm wanting something cleaner, it's like SSL, isn't it? So it's just like kind of getting familiar with certain things. I mean, I'm not familiar with certain EQs. There's just certain ones that I know that I've experienced, that I've remembered that'll do certain things that I need them to do. If that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. Neves are very expensive, aren't they? All those consoles are. Yeah. It's a bit of a price tag. I'm in the school, pretty much a decent PC and the right plugins can pull off anything. Yep, totally. I agree. I mean, for the hassle of hardware, I just can't be bothered with. I can pick a guitar up and I can play a keyboard. It's a keyboard there, by the way, and then there's the push behind me. I've got those things, but yeah, I just want an easy life where I don't have to make too many decisions. So Discord. So there was a good question on Discord. I'll just read it out. So somebody had said, and this was with regards to a song that they were writing. Being scared that the song is turning out so cool might get messed up by one idea. I have a song I'm working on, and I extended a part, and it just doesn't work being an extended section, but also came up with another part after that extended part where the momentum shifts, and I've avoided going back to editing it. Part of it is getting stuck on one idea and not resolving it quickly. I suppose it's almost ignoring what the song wants to become. Right, yeah. So that's quite an interesting one, because I think that's something that everybody sort of experiences. So I mean, the first part is being scared. So that's probably a bit extreme, but being scared, that's a feeling. It's an internal feeling, isn't it? And kind of when that feeling happens, when you're scared of doing something in music, when we're making a track, that's linked to the fact that he thinks that the track is cool. All right. So there's this feeling of almost like the track is finished to some degree, or there are certain elements of this track that are nearly finished, and you're not wanting to mess it up, and that's where that kind of scared thing is coming from. Now, what this tends to suggest, when we think of the creative process, you're thinking of it in divergent thinking and convergent thinking. When we're writing music, we want to be divergently thinking. And what I mean by divergently thinking is you are thinking that everything is possible. You're thinking about speed, you're thinking about creating chaos, you're thinking about getting as many ideas together, as many options, and just making a wonderful creative mess, You're just trying to, when you first start writing music. So if we look at the machine regarding this, so here's my automatic music making machine, as I like to call it. I'll just get it up. I'll come over this screen. Share screen. Right, we're over here, and oh god, I hope I don't run out of RAM. Anyway, so this is the machine, and I have like a splurge section here. And what this is about, these columns mirror the divergent convergent thinking. So when we're talking about splurging, we're thinking about just making a great big mess, right? Discovery, we're trying to make some sense of what the splurges are doing, okay? And then drafting, we're trying to then organize the arc, the arrangement that hopefully reflects on the purpose and enhances that. And then done is just another like splurge decision column where you put something and you just decide if you're going to release or not. And when we're in release, okay, this is like the sharp end of convergent thinking. This is where you sort of mix in your track and all of because you've got the blueprint of how it's going to be written, and you pretty much know 80% how that track is. In release, that's where we do all the things like the mixing and all the things that are a definite yes/no answer, and I'll just elaborate a bit on this. But what's interesting is what people tend to do is they can get divergent thinking mixed up with convergent thinking. And I'll give you an example. It's very, very common that, especially in Ableton, right, because you can just make like really nice loops, can't you? That people will build like an 8-bar, 16-bar idea of music, okay? And then start mixing it. So they haven't finished a tune, and you start kind of mixing it and making it sound amazing. And then you end up with this 8 bars of like, oh, this track is amazing. This is like going to be the best thing ever, right? And what's actually happening there is you've mixed two processes together. You've mixed divergent thinking, the very sort of writing stuff, with convergent thinking very, very early on. And what that's made us do is start thinking that the track is finished when it's not finished, okay? Because usually what you'll find when you're writing is 80% of it comes really, really quickly, and then the sort of like other bit, 20% of gains is all this kind of faffing on with the mixing sort of side of things and that convergent side and trying to get things to sound good. But when we sort of bring the convergent side into the divergent thinking, it's a bit like the best analogy I've heard for what it does to you creatively, cognitively, is it's a bit like trying to accelerate and brake at the same time. And the problem with that then is this idea that you're trying to work on becomes almost, it solidifies. It's like working with concrete. It becomes very, very difficult, and everything that you're doing you have to like overthink because you don't want to ruin what's already there. And that gives you the anxious, and that makes you anxious, that feeling of being scared because you don't want to ruin things. you know, because you don't, yeah, you just want, you believe this track is going to be amazing when you release it. And that's the other thing is, you know, it'll make you, when you do think that something's nearly finished and you have that convergent thinking, you start then projecting into the future of what the future possibilities of the track are. So this track will be amazing. So everything that you're doing is then having to add up and match up with this future idea in your head of how this music is going to be and what it's going to do for you. So now, not only are you not thinking in the process and thinking about what the music's actually doing, what is real, is we're spending a lot of time thinking about being scared, worrying about ruining this track, because now we're thinking more about the future consequences and not focusing in directly in on the process. So this is why the music making machine, which I used in the coaching group, massively helps you, because it takes away a lot of that thinking. Okay, so if you think about it, you've got the splurge here and you just log all your splurges, you just put them in here. Splurge is a decision, you just make music. And the great thing about splurging is the mindset is you want 100%, you want like basically 100% focus on speed. You're not focused at all on quality, zero focus on quality. Just the first things that come into your head, you're just responding to and like doing, okay, and you're just having a wonderful time to do that. Speed, excitement, chaos, these are all parts of the things that we're feeling about splurge, but what we're definitely not doing is thinking about quality, because quality judgments can happen later on in the process. That's more to do with the convergent thinking, not the divergent thinking. Once we do the splurge, and actually somebody suggested this, that, it's good to take a break, okay? I mean, if you're working, like with your music, in series, in other words, like how I used to work was I would start a track and I would have to actually finish that track, and I wouldn't work on anything else, right? So that meant doing sessions on it back to back, okay? Which isn't the greatest way to work, okay? But this machine, what it allows you to do is you can work on different areas of the creative process, and you've always got a piece of music that you can work on, and you can track where it is. So, for example, I could go today, I don't feel like doing anything like to do with release or mixing or convergent. I'm going to do some splurging. So you can do some splurging, and just write some music. And sometimes I might think, you know what, that might be the morning, afternoon. I think, I'll go back to that mix and I can do a bit of mixing here. And I can track the progress. And then sometimes, there's a few tracks I want to draft. I think I'll get on with these 2 drafts and do a couple of sessions on them. And then you can go, that track that you might have a track here in Discovery, that like Splurge I did, I really liked. I think I'm going to come back and do some work on Discovery on that and see what other ideas I can get going. So, in the creative process, we can practice now all these different areas of making music. And not only that, this actually will transfer that divergent, convergent thinking transfers to anything that we're doing in the creative process. So you could be painting, drawing, making a movie. That thinking is there. That's just, the way that it is. And, when you have a system like this, now you can work with multiple pieces of music. You can work on an album, you can have things in Discovery, you can be mixing other things. And the other thing is, like when people come on, I know I'm plugging the coaching group here as well. When people come on the coaching group, when we're working, there's like lots of like exercises. I prefer to call them games because it's more of a fun thing. But there is lots of sort of exercises and games that we play in each of these sections, which help you get unstuck, that address very common problems, like the one that guy has brought up basically on the Discord. So that's it. It's kind of just, running a system like this really addresses that issue of helping you understand the layout of the creative process, so you don't end up in that situation where we're mixing convergent and divergent thinking. But in short, having experimented with years and years, and especially through the development of this machine, the guy who coached me, what I actually found was, I'll come back this way. what I actually found is that it's much better to keep in that divergent thinking all the way through because it's creating lots and lots of momentum. And I always find that 80% of the track, and people who are saying this, gets done very, very quickly. And if you've got a template that's kind of serving certain purposes, that, you know, in situations that happen all the time and addresses those, there's even less to do on the convergent side, which means you're always like flexible. You know, when that kind of convergent thinking happens and the whole idea becomes solidified and concrete, like, really, we don't want to be thinking like that. What we want to be thinking about is we want to be carefree, not careless, but carefree and happy just to change things. Like, here's another idea. So, you know, that, I hope that makes sense. That's where that kind of being scared thing comes from. It comes from like not wanting to mess the track up, and the reason that's the case is because there's been some sort of convergent thinking going on, or processes that have gone on in this track that have made the guy think, oh, this is going to be great. And as soon as that's happened, then you're starting to whip up a timeline and project into the future and start making comparisons, and then suddenly all of our cognitive processing is all internal rather than dealing with the external factors, which is the music existing outside of our bodies and coming out of the speakers. In other words, we're not focusing on what the music is doing in terms of its emotional journey. We're more concerned with the made-up thoughts and feelings that we are having based on our performance doing the music. Okay, we need to be focused on the music. The music's the boss. I mean, it's like when you read like Victor Wootan's stuff, he talks about like the spirit of music, you know, and stuff like that. And that's because there is a spiritual side to this. Music is bigger than us. Like a piece of music to me is like some sort of like entity or life form that I've summoned up, and in its own musical way, it's asking me to do things to help it. And you know, so the question is throughout this process is, what is the music asking me to do, not what I think the music should be doing. You know, you're serving the music at the end of the day. And then actually and this is a typical thing, you'll almost find then when people are talking about a problem, in describing it, they'll suddenly find in the description of a problem almost a solution will appear. So the solution actually does appear here. But I also extended another part and that didn't work, okay? But he did write another section, okay? But then doesn't want to edit the lengthened part that doesn't work. And so what we've got, that's the convergent, divergent thinking mix symptom of it becoming so concrete. You're now avoiding doing that edit because you don't want to like ruin the track. But what actually should happen, and what he's saying there, is this new part, it should be edited down that part and then reintroduce the new part to see then how that works in terms of the tension and release. So it's almost like answering. And then he's actually pointed out, it's almost like I'm ignoring what the song is wanting to become. So that's very interesting. Have I ever worked on reggaeton? Interestingly enough, at one point, when I was managed by two Dutch doing my dance music, it was suggested to work on reggaeton, and it was on my table to start doing stuff. But no. But I did have a phase of, from what I remember, and this is going a few years ago, probably about 2018 time, of me analysing it and getting geared up to do some reggaeton. And I think at that point, I think what happened is I was getting bored of, because I was producing a lot of future house, so it was at the time where I was starting to get really bored of it, the stadium dance music, and I was wanting to start doing like tech house, like grungy tech house, that you'd play in a dark club with like maybe it's like a red light and a laser or something. And I was just looking for like other things to get into and other styles, so that's why I was looking at it. I was wanting to do something with that. I ended up going down a tech house, techno sort of weird weird kind of road. Right, I hope I said your name right. Leos? Leos? I have dyslexia, unfortunately. No, seriously, I do. So I get names wrong all the time, so I apologise. But it's great to have you on here. You're an artist from Puerto Rico. Brilliant. So I can't remember if this is the first time you've been on here. But this is, my morning music sessions, and it's where I hang out and make music and talk about music. I'm also a music coach, as you probably gathered as well, and I have various coaching groups that people who want to be coached can join. So, I mean, if you're interested in being in a group of other producers and just working on your process and working out how you can make tons of music painlessly, well, not painlessly, but without the usual pain that I'm talking about here. Right, when you produce, right, very good. International, another producer from London. Cool. But yeah, so I'm synthwave now, and I'm an endorsed artist for Kiesel guitars. I've always been a guitar shredder, and I've gone back to it in the last few years, like big style. But I was prolifically writing a lot of dance music. As I said, I was managed by Two Dutch, and I've done remixes with Brooks and like stuff like that, and tons of releases. I've had stuff on Armada. I've charted about 7 times. I think Track It Down, I was like 4 was the highest I got in the charts. But yeah, I've had stuff out some okay labels as well. And I've had a lot of support from like some alright DJs, like Don Diablo, Paul Oakenfold, Lost Frequencies. They used to play my stuff all the time. When I was doing my stadium kind of future house stuff. Kid Massive would be another guy. That's just funny, name dropping. Future House, yeah. Are you familiar with the Future House thing? Because I was listening to EDM and I thought, like, I'm not quite into this, but it's good. And then I heard a few things where it was a bit of a garage. I can't remember who it was, but I heard a few tracks where it was sort of like M1 type early 90s chords with almost, I suppose, very sort of swingy kind of drums. I thought, oh, that's really cool. I think I'll do something like that. So Future House was for me because it had a throwback to the 90s and it had the energy of like then, now. Then was now, if you know what I mean. I'm still waking up. And that's what I produced, and that was like got things going till I moved over to the tech house. But yeah, it was great. It was interesting because I moved from doing stuff that was really melodic to something that was just driving and bassy because you just get sick of the melodies. And then when I came out with the tech house thing, I was wanting more melodic stuff, so I did a little bit of like sort of melodic techno-y kind of stuff. And then really that wasn't quite doing it for me. I wanted something more intricate, and then that's sort of when me and Thomas I started making synthwave, and then him putting his guitars on it, and I thought, oh, that's cool, let's do this. And then I ended up doing synthwave, and then ending up playing guitar again and going back into shredding. So I mean, I'm not so bothered about releasing music on other labels and stuff. I'm more focused sort of on my live work at the minute. Right, drum and bass. Yeah, drum and bass is cool. But yeah, I'm really into that sort of like the early part of the 90s. Labels like I really like like stuff Turbo XL put out. Defected's alright, some of it. quite commercial on it, but there's some, back in the day, I'd be quite into Defected. That'd probably be the most commercial type music I'd listen to. Future bass. So yes, I did a little bit of future bass as well. In fact, like with my future house, would always have like a future bass sort of element into it. So, the breakdowns would have like the big sort of chord structures, and then it would always like come down to some sort of bass line. But they were good times, yeah. Um, but there's only so much of that music you can produce, and then it's just you're expected just to churn that same thing, because it kind of works. But you get like for being somebody who I get bored of it. Yeah, so right, my fascination with you and Moroccan is how you guys bleed right into the synthwave borderline electronica style working with guitar. I think it's just so before I even got into the sort of like releasing lots of dance music, I've got a whole history of throughout, you know, right from day one, of being really interested in bands that crossed over with electronic stuff. So when I was a kid, I was like raving in the 90s, and, like, yeah, so I was like, so that's where all the M1 and like funny like electronic sounds. I was always trying to mix those into rock music. So it's something that I've always wanted to do, because I was really into like Joey Beltram and Prodigy and things like that. And then I became really interested in bands that were doing a crossover thing like Jesus Jones and stuff like that. Yeah, so that the mixing electronic with that. So that's always been an interest, and then I've always tried to do that. I mean, at one point back then, my whole studio was MIDI, and I had actually a very similar setup to Liam Howlett and Prodigies. I had two W30 sampler keyboards, like in my studio and stuff, and it was good. So it was a great learning curve. So I've always tried to mix that in with like the live instruments and what have you. So that's the first thing, and then from the dance music, there's certain things in dance music that I built as part of my style that then I brought into the synthwave thing. It's like funny little vocal cuts and things like that. So the approach of it, a lot of it comes from sort of producing like house music. And then the rest of it is just absorbing the synthwave style. But also, the reason that I really like synthwave is because not only has it got the emotions of music, but it does have this really weird, when you do it with me, this kind of nostalgia emotion going, which I don't really get off a lot of other music that's modern, right? If this makes any sense. So when I was a small child, I used to really love John Carpenter films, and I used to love like the theme tune, like Assault on Precinct 13, theme tune of Escape from New York, and I really like those sort of vibes. So I was able to go back to those like sort of 80s movies and just get influenced by all the things I loved as a child and bring those into now, which is what synthwave retrowave's about, isn't it? It's about thinking about that 80s style of music and imagining it being continuously produced and it never stopped. And then what would it sound like now? And that's really what the McLaughlin and Hutch thing's about for me. Yes, underground raves. Um, I always found like the rave scene very inspiring early on. Yeah, the scene's gone totally commercial. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I agree. I agree with all of that, and the whole EDM, future bass, future house thing felt like too commercial, and that's why I kind of moved into other genres really. But it was there were good times, happy memories. So anyway, I've spent a bit of time explaining, trying to come up with solutions for that question that was asked on Discord, which is one of the great things about the Discord and the coaching room. So anybody who is on here, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. And then also you'll find in the about at the very top, very visible, is a Discord link. So if you push that, that's your invite, and you can come on the Discord. Then if you want to join in the chat about all things related to music, then that's the place to be. Also, anybody who is wanting, who's interested in music coaching, basically the process is, if you're interested, if you just send an email, email's in the description, just send an email to Tim at Tim Hutch UK. I'll tell you what, I'll just type it in the chat as well. I mean, I should have like one of those night bots that just put this up. Oh no, that's not it. So anybody who's interested in joining a group, send me an email. But what we have to do is I have to just do a completely free of charge half an hour chat with you, just to make sure that everything is all cool and you're really up for coaching and you fully understand what it is and what it entails. But one thing about the coaching thing, it is the way. Like, you know, if you've made trap music before and you've finished stuff, even if it's just a few tracks, this is absolutely going to put your creativity output through the roof. I can guarantee that, providing you do everything that I tell you to do, and everything that you tell yourself to do. But basically, the structure of it is, I run 2 groups at the minute. I'm going to start a third one. I'm looking for about 2 people to join at the minute, and basically we meet for 2 hours every week. And I just take you through some games and things that we play. And you sit there in a room with everybody else. You're all in front of your doors and you make music. Nobody hears each other's music. It's coaching, so I'm only really concerned about using the skills that you already have and getting you to facilitate those yourself as best as you possibly can. That's what coaching's about. If there's a skill deficit and it's holding you back, then I will address that. And there can be some teaching it sometimes. But the coaching thing is primarily focused on kind of you solving your problems and me helping you do that. So there's not really much like this out there. You know, there's lots of YouTube tutorials and things like that and what that's all about is here's a problem, but it's not your problem, and this is how you fix it. It's not as useful as you fixing the problems that you're experiencing at the time, and that's what the coaching's about, and that's why it's so beneficial to people. Save your hearts, how are you doing? And then the other thing is it costs $237 a month, which is really cheap. 2 hours every week, and that's just regardless whether the day falls on a 5-week or 4-week. It's still, it's still just the $237 for the full month for like potentially 8 to 10 hours a month coaching. So when you split it up, it's like really like cheap. It's cheaper than a regular lesson, and you're only in a group of 4 people plus me as the coach. And I haven't had any complaints yet. I haven't had to refund any money to anybody. However, it is possible, right, that somebody who comes into this group just doesn't want the coaching thing. They don't kind of get it, or they're not at that point yet, which is perfectly fine. And like after, if you're not happy in the first month, whatever, I'm just happy to to refund the money, and then when you're ready for it, you can come back. Because sometimes people aren't completely ready, and you've got to kind of warm up to it. But anyway, that's why I do the half an hour. So you can just have a Zoom call with me on a one-to-one basis just for half an hour whilst I kind of assess where you're at and then tell you kind of vaguely what the strategy could be for you, But I mean, I've been coached and still am coached. I mean, I have 2 coaches that I go to. I have one for my health and well-being, and I have one for my musical needs. And I'm also, as a coach, constantly in coach training as well, because, as you know, the music industry is forever changing, and all my skills, because it's so dynamic, need updating all the time. So I'm in a group of other coaches who are trained specifically to coach in music. And I also have a job in the NHS doing this very thing, coaching, but helping people with autism and mental health. So I do a lot of this, in other words. Anyway, there's the shameless plug. Now, I think what we're going to do is we'll just have a look. Oh, save your hearts. How I've got 2 chats here. I should use this one, but it's not in the right place. I'm going to have to move it here. How am I? Let's go. Yes, I'm good. I don't know where I'm going to go, though. I'm going to probably switch positions and have a look at what's actually happening in Ableton Live in a minute. But yeah, no, everything's good. Really enjoying doing the streams. Really, really enjoy talking about anything to do with the process of creativity. That's the thing I really, really like. Which, it's great for those who want to hear it. And I just hope the people, you all want to hear it, because obviously you wouldn't be here, would you? Okay, we'll switch over. I'll just get the Discord out of the way. And move this chat over here. And there's me there. Right. So this is a track we're working on the other day. Salami, yeah. So I think we'll just do trying to think. So this has had like 1 session on it, hasn't it? And we're into the drafting of it. Although I can see there's some sort of a structure here. So I think what I'll do, if I've got a pen, right, I'll do a tension and release map. So again, I did one of these the other day. It's like one of my favourite when we're at this stage of a track. It's one of my favourite direct listens, and basically all we're doing, and I suggested this to people actually on Discord as well, is doing this very thing. So direct listening is we're just trying to focus in on the things that exist, i.e. our music, and not pay any attention to our thoughts and feelings and judgmental thoughts towards our music, like things like, oh, I need to brighten up that snare drum, or things like that. Because once you're on board with those thoughts, yeah, 65 measures at 70 BPM. Slow, innit? I don't know what made me end up with that, but it just kind of that's what happened at the time, and I can't even remember what this track sounds like. So I'm just gonna measure out what the tension and release is, map it out, I should say. So basically, the more tension you get, the higher the line, the more release, the lower it goes, and that's the way it goes. And I can see how this track is working. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, Right. Yeah, I like the bass line. Bass line's cool. Um, there's my map. Can you see that? So that's what it looks like. Shall I just come to the other screen? It's interesting how, sort of like when you're looking at tension release physically in your body, because like one thing I'll do as I'm drawing this is I'll observe what the actual physical feeling is. I know we listen to music and cognitively, our mood will change with the music, but also in terms of the tension release, um, what actually happens physically in your body is really interesting. So when we come to sections like here where it goes into the breakdown, it just doesn't suddenly fall off a cliff. There's this feeling where the release slowly comes in and the tension dissipates. So that's very good. But that's a tension release. So there is quite a bit of tension release. There's a couple of areas which need looking at, because I am going to put sort of more, I'm going to use the guitar as like a vocalist on this. So this kind of mid section where not a lot's happening. Here and here. Kind of needs something going on. And I'm building tension with this string. Yeah, I've done that loads, like doubling tempos and halving tempos. Right, so I need to come up with a list of things. So I think coming out of this, I want to try and see if I can have a different chord progression going here. Yeah. Let's get Trello up. Really, it's a... So I need to add progression, add, I think some sort of different progression. In a major key, possibly. Breakdown. And then the other thing I was wondering about. Down there. Was use create a pre-chorus motif, possibly 2 chords on section before before breakdown. We just need to splurge guitar ideas for verses. Okay, Saviour. Right. Let's see. Let's try and put some ideas in here. So that bass will need changing at some point, but I'm going to keep it the way that it is. What is the key of this track? Oh, C sharp major. C on a major key. Let me just have a think. One thing is I could do a shift in the key to B. Because I know this was a suggestion, somebody saying, oh, do it in like C sharp. But it means you're not using the natural resonance of a guitar. Okay, so we'll try some stuff. Just bass off. Get something that sounds inspiring. that should... What key was it? Let's see. I'm gonna change that C sharp major. I think somebody just said, like, because it would be challenging to play on guitar. That works. So this section. Oh, I'll tell you what, yeah, I need to take that low octave out, because that was just so I could hear the chord. Right. I'm just gonna see what happens if I go to the minor here. Right, I just want to get a feel of how this is. Oh, wrong key. That'll do for now. It's a difficult one. I'll stick that in right for now, just to help. I'll just bang that in a few times. Right, just play anything. Thing is, it doesn't matter. Like, all I'm testing there. Will it work as a solo? I'm even on completely the wrong sound and everything. Like this, like what I'm doing here is I'm not putting down solos that are finished. So, I mean, I can hear there are issues on the distorted track that I put on. I mean, the octave thing I'm doing is pretty good. I mean, there's a couple of repair. I need to refine that idea just to make it sit better in the track. But then the lead that I put on top, I need to refine that more so it weaves in and out of that other guitar a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, what I wanted to do was just put some key changes in that would just freshen it up, so when I'm coming in with the guitar part, it's all good. Yeah, that kind of thing. Maybe just put that in. Like little ideas like that, isn't it? And then we've got the like here I could put in a little So I'm just putting that in there because I do like that clean sound. And I'm thinking about, oh, that's my stomach wanting some breakfast. I am thinking about sort of Don Henley, Boys of Summer, you know, the kind of guitar tone. I don't know, I've got like shimmer verb on that. Something a bit normal. There we go. Yeah, Boys of Summer, Don Henley, innit? So we can work on these in a separate session. Right, and then I can hear like a little ding 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 thing going on. And this is like why I like to keep things sort of simple on my synths, because I like to use the TAL SH101 to do a lot of stuff. And then I can just massage this into position with a few filters, and we're laughing. So part of this is the I don't know about saying it's wrong, but that needs to be more vaporwave. Okay, let's save there. And then pop over here. Right. Okay. So yes, thanks for producing along with me there, Saviour. Some great stuff there on the suggestion front. And the cool thing about that is I was able to achieve the things that were on my list. So I suppose at the end of the day, because even though this track appears to be finished, and in my head I think this is really good, and there's lots of potential, and this could be the one. I try to refrain from those future expectations. Expectations is the thing that's going to cause us to slow us down, that's going to create barriers. That, projecting into the future, think what possible future possibilities are there and what this track should be, and then comparing it to what it is now is never a great way. We need to focus in on the process. And I was squarely focusing on the process. I knew those changes had to kind of happen to make this more interesting for the listener, and I've done them, and it's great, and it was painless. So there we have it. So anybody who is not on the Discord, please join the Discord. And if you go to the coaching room, and if there are any questions on your process, I'll be happy to answer them and talk about them on a live like this. I think it's incredibly beneficial. And I do, part of my mission is, having produced absolutely ridiculous amounts of music, right, is I just want to, help everybody else and help the community grow and everybody be creative geniuses. That's the dream, isn't it? And also get all of my coaching groups full of happy customers. So apart from that, that's me finished for today. I'm not sure if I'm on tomorrow because I've got a meeting late tonight, and I'm also got my coaching group, so I'm not sure. Depending on what time I get to bed, I might just pop up and do a session on Friday, and there's also the possibility of maybe something on a Friday night guitar shred chill out sesh, which I may do. But I'll keep you posted in the Discord about that. So thanks everybody for coming along. It's been a blast. All right then. Goodbye for now.